myself and Nathan back again. All the others are in their own sweet worlds. We're talking all about the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. And I don't know what even is this race. At once we were like, oh, Ferrari has got it, Ferrari has got pole, versus on the other side we see Aston Martin's all of a sudden trying to be the phoenixes that just get out of the fire. And you just and then we see like all of a sudden George Russell doing his thing and managing to just stay in that trap zone where if something happens to P1 and P2, he's there to be the fall guy. And like, yeah, as said, joining me is Nathan, and he didn't watch. He was sick that day on the day of the race.
hmm
Clearly, after seeing the race, he must have gone even more sicker, I feel.
Um, I think I'm immune to that at this point. I mean, seriously, it's. I don't know, man. I think every single time when Ferrari doesn't do well in the race, and I always get a race reaction. Arjun asks me how the race was. I always have a dejected, saying, "Oh, it's back to depression. I have to go see my therapist and all of that." But look, I think we all saw it coming. I don't know. Maybe it was too good to be true after qualifying that the Ferrari could do it. But let me tell you something, Arjun. If there was one track where Ferrari could win, it was probably this track because it's very hard to pass, and it's known as the Monaco
Actually,
without
yeah,
walls. It's known as
exactly.
so. This was probably Ferrari's best chance to win this season, and they
In
haven't won.
fact, in fact, I'm just going to use this terminology. Like last episode, I was talking praising about Ferrari's strategy masterclass. This exactly is Ferrari's master shatterglass. They shattered it quite well.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what happened with the pit stops. I don't know what's going on.
To be fair, the
Like,
pit stops are actually pretty good. I mean, it was actually like
or that's the only department where it's consistent.
because I was surprised because I remember when Charles did his first stop, they actually matched the 2 second fastest
But
pit stop
then,
that they have.
yeah, but
And
then McLaren took it off with Lando's bid at 1.98.
it's that's
In fact,
it's crazy.
DHL whole has this points table for the fastest pit stops. That is the only place where Ferrari sits on the top.
Hey, look, Ferrari stopped somewhere at least. I'm happy about that. It's the small victories, man. I think at this point you can't really take anything else into consideration. But what a
Yeah,
quali lap though from Charles Leclerc. I think that
I
qualifying
know.
session
Like
was
no
amazing.
one expect like again. I actually thought okay, he may be losing time, but the last sector he went on a purple, and I was like, damn.
I think, the whole weekend you could see that obviously McLaren were dominant throughout every practice session. They were
Mm-hmm.
clearly like 4 5 tenths ahead of the whole pack almost. And
Mm-hmm.
the third person who was in the top three, who was going to probably fight for maybe P2 or P3 was Charles Leclerc. But I
Mm-hmm.
would never have imagined him getting pole on that track. I mean, first of all, that track is narrow, so to get
I
a
know.
good position and go all the way around the whole lap without getting impeded by traffic is one of the biggest struggles of that track because a lot of people got caught out with traffic and got caught out with
I
getting
know,
impeded.
especially like Quali was the biggest example I feel where like drivers actually like they were slowing down, they took their own sweet time, and then they were going like the amount of traffic is brutal, I would say.
Arjun, have you always noticed? I don't know if it's just me, but it is really, really, it's like this annoying thing that I see. Whatever they do in the pit lane during qualifying sessions is just annoying. I feel like as a driver, getting into that queue and like putting your
Yeah.
nose in reminds me of Dubai roads. It's like trying to get into like a
six
free ride
o'clock
or
6 o'clock Sheikhzad Road. Oh my god. Or not even Sheikhzad Road. In fact, every other road. In fact, yesterday, after a very long time, I left the office at 6 dot,
yeah.
and I landed home at 8, where normally my typical ride time is only 40 minutes. It took me two
Wow.
hours
Wow.
because it's just that. I thought, oh, people are not in Dubai. They have gone for holidays. Looks like they all have come back.
They've all come back, man. They've all come back. It's all back. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
but yeah, but like coming back to the race, but like um, I think say with Charles, he could have still managed. The only problem was Ferrari fell for McLaren's bluff.
Yeah, that's always there. I mean, I
That
look.
third pit stop, it was so unwanted,
Yeah, yeah.
so unwanted, but they just fell for it.
I mean, I think even if they hadn't still fallen for it, I think we would have probably seen
No, I would have.
Charles struggle.
I think he would have not gone that early off, giving up the position.
No, for sure, definitely,
He
definitely
would take some more
strategy.
time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Strategy has a big role to play, and the reason why Charles finished fourth. But the reasons that they gave was obviously one of the reasons is the chassis was broken around lap 40. Probably it was, maybe it was broken. I think it was broken. I don't know if there was any actual physical evidence or document saying that it was. But I do believe there was some other reason why the performance just fell off. And I've seen a lot of people talk about the tire pressures, and I believe that that is one of the reasons why they kind of fell off. Because listen to me, that first stint from Charles was brilliant. He was
I
pulling
know.
away
I
from
think like
Leclerc, from Piastri.
easily. I think like out of the 71 laps, he's easily done like 42 laps. He's gone. He was what do you call leading it quite well.
That
But you know,
first that first stint was crazy, dude. Still, I can't believe that first stint. By the way, it's still I
like
like
yeah, see, you're seeing day and night because on
yeah
one side you're seeing Lewis who is unable to overtake. He's within that mid, what do you call the middle section, and you see like for now, like the Aston Martin's pulling off that gap to the first top three
Hmm.
because they are in their own class, and that is a different race going on.
Yeah.
Versus from P5 onwards, you have at first the DRS train, and then after that, you've got that sort of substantial 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds gap which is coming in between. And it's just that, like, what do you call? Yeah, it is one of those tracks where you overtaking is an impossible task
Hmm.
because you've got your main straight one DRS zone. You take your first turn, and immediately you have your next DRS zone there.
Yeah.
I feel I'm very, what do you call? Cannot even say confused. I don't know, like, what is the system of these guys keeping DRS zones this close? The proximity of keeping the DRS zones this close is just like insane.
Yeah, but like I mean, it's such an old school track as well. You can't do much about extending the track or reducing the track. They did make several new upgrades for this track, by the way, in terms of like the attendance and the occupancy for people to come and watch the race, which was pretty nice. But like I said, this track is known as the Monaco without walls. It's again very hard. Once you're in traffic, it's very hard to pass. And
Mhm.
not only that, it even makes it much more difficult considering how the track is. It takes a lot out of the tires,
Yeah,
and it's really bad for the tires. And all you have to do is just save your tires throughout the race. And if you're trying to save your tires throughout the race, that means you have to like lift and coast and take lines on the track, which is
and you cannot bottom out as well, right?
exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why the car kind of fell off for Charles after the second or third pit stop, because as soon as you increase the pressures of the tire, you do have like a vertical lift in the car, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think Ferrari had noticed a lot of plank wear at the start of the race with those
yeah.
medium tires. And it was probably the reason why Ferrari were kind of quick, because, the more lower you are to the ground, the more downforce you have, the more drag,
Mhm.
what do you say? Your car is not that draggy. It's actually pretty quick on a straight line. And that's what surprised me, because they were really quick on a straight line. It was only in the slow speed corners where they had a lot of issues. But seriously, I don't know what those suspension upgrades would have done for Ferrari. Looks like it has not worked. Maybe it's not fixed that plank issue. And maybe, Arjun, this might be a season where we won't see a Ferrari win.
Again, it breaks my heart that this is happening, especially because again now I support Ferrari as well. And in fact, this week I was so planning to get Ferrari merch. I was like, okay, let me just see. Then after I was like, you know what? Let's see after the race how things go. But then I'm like, oh, what the hell?
You still can get Ferrari merch. Ferrari is Ferrari. Everyone is a Ferrari fan.
I'll tell you this. I still have like the race model of Lewis's win in Silverstone last year. The last year's W15 or sorry
Yeah,
W14.
yeah.
As in, this is with Lewis's numbers. I bought this, and this is still there with me. I really hope I could get something similar with Lewis's win on at a Ferrari with Ferrari. Again, I don't know if that's going to be like such a realistic thing, but uh, even as a matter of fact, like Fred Vasseur is like, this is such a strange thing. This has happened where chassis break happens, and they have to do a couple of investigations in order to see what is the root cause to this. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there are a couple of people who says it's the man. There is so much of a management issue.
Hmm.
So I was just seeing this like one of the podcasts called it's called the Pit Stop Podcast, where Gino Rosato saying that I arrived in 2014. It was Stefano Domenicali, and then we had Marco Mattiasci, and then we have Maurizio Erwenbe, and then we had Mattia Benotto, and then we have Fred Vasseur. It's 5 years in 11 to 12 years. Fred Vasseur know his race, the effing race, but you take away Fred, and they seem to be back on track. So yeah, now you need to keep this guy stable. Leave Fred there for at least 4 to 5 years, just so that a step because Fred is known as a team principal, a very stable guy,
Hmm.
and a guy who is very like cutthroat and does things. He doesn't wait for protocols. In
Yeah,
fact, he's such an unprotocoled guy.
yeah, yeah.
He does things in his own ways. But then it's again at least now that he's got a multi-year contract signed in,
Hmm.
which should keep him there for a good couple of time.
Yeah,
I'm assuming multi-year. I don't know, is it 3, 4, 5? God knows.
yeah.
But see, Ferrari messing up a pole in Hungary after and the last Ferrari pole in Hungaroring is by Michael Schumacher.
That says it all. That says it all. You don't have to, as a Ferrari fan, we don't talk about records like that, right? We just move. We just move, man.
Hmm.
We just move.
No, see, I'm like they again whoever they should if possible like fire the entire strategy team and headhunt new set of people, man.
Yeah, I think this talk about firing strategy team has been going on for so long. I mean, it's funny because John Elkann, the Ferrari chairman or CEO, I think he's chairman, he was in attendance this weekend. So I don't know. Maybe he has seen something, and let's hope that they do some change. They probably won't. I know for a fact that they won't do anything about this. It's a Ferrari trend. So for any Ferrari fans, watching and listening to us, um, just bear with us. Just bear with it. That's all you
But
can
you
do.
know what actually hurt my heart this week was basically Lewis telling I'm useless.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine you're listening this particular words coming out of a seven-time world champion, 104 race win guy. He loses on qualifying, says every time. And then during the post qualifying interviews, he says, "I'm useless." I don't know. Like first, I'm a diehard Lewis fan, and in fact, if Mihir was here, Mihir would have said the same thing. It actually struck like a knife,
Mhm.
because it's not something you expect from someone like Lewis coming out, who had last week also qualifying was bad, but then Lewis being Lewis, Sunday is the day where he actually works the magic,
Mhm.
and he was the only driver other than Oscar Piastri who scored points every weekend, and
Wow.
the streak comes to a break because of the P12.
Yeah.
Man, it's so diabolical, and I sympathize with Lewis on this. In fact, he did say that okay, this summer break is going to be not it's not going to be like any summer break. It's going to be so much. procrastinating, tearing tears, all those things. Which I think, like, say, if he's doing well and great, because there is so much actually going on, which he has, which again, I don't know. He, if I really hope he figures the entire thing out, because I even think that he's building up a report which talks about flaws.
Yeah.
But I'm like, again, I don't know if John Elkin and Fred Ressort would be that open hearing it.
No, I'm pretty sure that they would definitely hear it out. I mean, come on, they just hired a seven-time world champion. I think they will definitely take the opportunity to hear him out for sure. But I really hope that for Ferrari's sake at least, that that we at least have two cars finishing in the points on a consistent basis.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't, I even don't mind a 2-3 as well.
it
A
doesn't
1-2
matter.
or a 2-3,
It doesn't matter,
whichever.
man. It doesn't matter. I just want both the cars finishing in the points, which now seems very it seems scary, but like it's very difficult when you consider, by the way, Arjun, that an Aston Martin team who has never scored
I
points,
know.
who has
I
never
so know. I was like, what on earth? But
so
again, they
yeah,
were smart. They were really smart. When all the other cars came in, when all the other cars came in for their, what do you call, to kind of stop in between qualifying, when the track was free, when there is free air, then they went for their quali runs, which was very smart of them to do.
yeah. I think they have done that
Because,
before as well, if I'm not wrong.
like, in fact, for a track like Hungaroring, where you cannot overtake, realistically, you cannot overtake. During quali, you're having a lap in free air
Yeah,
or in clean air is so beneficial.
yeah,
And the car got placed P5, P7.
yeah.
It
I
was
mean,
it was a spectacular in terms of what these guys have done.
yeah, I've always noticed that all these teams in qualifying, by the end of the session, that's when they start releasing the cars, because according to them, theoretically speaking, that's when the track is at its best. It's at its peak. That's when the tire and the rubber is laid on track and you'll have the maximum grip. But if you just checked out this race's qualifying session, the McLarens couldn't improve at all in their final run. I mean, they
Yeah,
ideally
I
should
know.
have.
Like Piastri was doing the continuously, like, what do you call, yellow sectors.
Yeah, and it was not like as if they were on old softs. They were on new softs as well. So it was not even the tires were not even a factor in that case. What's funny is it was only Charles who actually improved in that whole quali run, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And okay, maybe the McLarens did improve by the last sector, but they should have actually exponentially improved because of how dominant that car is. I mean, it's crazy, but Aston Martin got it right. They got it perfectly right, and it's actually, I'm happy and I'm glad that we have now these teams, you know, coming up in the top 10 and giving the midfield a fight, because
man.
now,
In fact, I just feel like, well, you leave the legacy teams. The actual fight is happening within the midfield,
yeah, I mean,
because you
what's
see, because
yeah,
you see, last until last week we had a kick Sauber in sixth position of the constructors. Now it's Aston Martin.
that is insane. It's one
Like,
point difference.
exactly. No,
Yeah,
but
that
realize,
yeah,
you have Gabriel. You had a podium come in, then you had got a top five come in. Now again, you have like a P6 come in,
yeah,
which is good for Sauber, because again, at the end of the day, once the prize funds are allotted, they are getting more money.
yeah,
And these are teams which don't actually get that much kind of money coming their way. But you see, Aston Martin, like, Aston Martin, of course, but then Williams kicks out. Like, Williams, in fact, again, sometimes they're doing a pretty fab job, and they have got that sort of considerable amount of gap which is there. And if they maintain it this way, P5 is kind of secured and locked. But the position from P6 onwards, this can have like up and down, because you've got Racing Bulls 45 points. They are
yeah.
not far away. They are just 6 points away. and like
Yeah,
I
they're not
think,
far away.
and
And
in that one,
look at the trend of the
realistically,
Williams.
only yeah, and realistically, Alpine is the only team which cannot score anything. All the other teams are
Yeah,
relatively on the
correct.
on a better pace. Even I see
Definitely.
like even what do you call Esteban Ocon. He was also in a pretty good place. And
Yeah, he
what do you call
was.
for this
Yeah.
race? What do you call Behrman was P11. So it's
Yeah,
not that he cannot do; he can do.
for
But
sure. And
again,
I think that P6 to P8 fight is going to be very close, and we're going to see some. I mean,
insane it's gonna be.
like I am scared for Williams because Williams have not been doing well for the past few races now, and I think they need to pull their socks up. I mean, they're not going to bring any more upgrades or something. It doesn't matter. They really need to bring the fight onto the table because P5 for Williams is a big deal in terms of the money that's coming into
Massive
that team.
deal,
It's a
massive
huge
deal,
deal.
massive deal. But let's actually talk about the qualifying. The closest top 10 qualifying in F1 history.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said this year's
Zero point 0.5 seconds was the gap between P1 to P10.
yeah. I mean, I told you this year's this the qualifying session that we just witnessed for this weekend was spectacular. Like I don't remember I've a qualifying session from this year. Probably we have had a qualifying session that was this close and this tight before this season,
Yeah,
but it was insane. Seriously, I mean this is the best part, by the way, Arjun, of when we are close to a regulation change. It's always like this, right?
yeah.
2021, we saw an unbelievable title fight between two drivers
Don't. Just don't.
that went all the way down to the finish line at Abu Dhabi.
Until went all the way down to the wire. But then you know what? I personally just again, it's so much trauma at the end of the day.
Well, you must be
Um,
happy, but Max
for what?
Verstappen, you must be happy because Max Verstappen struggled a lot during this race.
Oh yeah, of course. In fact, I would even say the Red Bull team may be a bit ashamed that both the junior team cars were right behind.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was Liam who actually did a pretty good job this race.
Liam,
This,
no, in fact, I think Hadjar only lost one place, but then on quali, you've got after Max Verstappen, you've got Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson. So it's just that
yeah,
you see having a junior team outperform you.
yeah. It does raise a
I'm
lot of
just
questions.
imagining if this was the car from start, and imagine a situation where Racing Bulls overtook Red Bull on points. It would have been a crisis, which I don't know how it's gonna go.
Well, I think that crisis is. I mean, whatever crisis they had like a week back, I think it's all solved now with Max coming out and saying he is
He
in Red
doesn't.
Bull for 2026. I think he's put that
No, but then now
thing to
now
bed.
their top driver has just told, I don't think we're gonna win races.
Hey, I think Ferrari should come out with a statement like that too. Just put it to bed.
I feel like even yeah, I think Ferrari and Mercedes has confirmed that they are not going to do any more upgrades anymore, and they're just going to focus on 2026.
Yeah, which is smart. Because McLaren are going to run away with it this season. There's no point in chasing any more wins and upgrades for the season. But Red Bull is in some trouble here. I really think that. Look, I mean, obviously, with everything that happened with Christian Horner, and now they've got Laurent Mekies, they've got a completely different senior team now in charge in Red Bull. Um, the change is obviously going to be difficult,
Yeah,
especially when you consider the stature of Red Bull in Formula One.
yeah,
They are not like a midfield team or like a team that's just entering into the top three teams. They are a
big deal.
very very big deal in Formula One, especially from you know the 2000 from even the 2000s for that matter. That's when they joined Formula One, and they started winning in the 2010s. So that's when they started being.
But I was just even thinking it this way.
Yeah,
At a time, you had teams like Williams, which were like on the top fighting Ferrari. and they drop down all of a sudden. I don't know if this is going to be the case with Red Bull.
It's not. I mean, look at. I mean, it's a Red Bull. Red Bull is not just a Formula One team. It's like a. First of all,
I
it's an
know, I
energy
know, I
drink
know,
company. Let's think about
I
that.
know it's everything.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking this realistically. If they have problems and if they are not working out their issues, because realize next year onwards, they're not having Honda with them.
Yeah.
They're having Ford.
Mm.
If that Red Bull powertrains project gets or takes a different turn other than what it was expected, it is going to be such a issue.
It's going to be a big issue. It is. In terms of at least the the personnel that they have in the team, because
Mhm.
that is going to be a big thing to deal with in 2026 if they don't get the formula right for their car. Because even though Max Verstappen has come out and said that he's ready and there's no Max to Mercedes rumors. It's clear that I'm going to race for Red Bull in 2026. I'm sure.
But
I'm
2026,
very sure that Max is going to make a decision. If the car is bad in 2026, he will be eyeing for a move away from Red Bull for sure.
no, I'm pretty sure he may do like a move which what Lewis Hamilton did from moving from Mercedes.
For sure. I mean,
Because
it's
realize he's already done 200 plus races for Red Bull.
look, the other off chance if this might happen is, which I don't see it happening, but if it does, I won't be surprised, because this guy has come out and said, if I had the opportunity to race with Red Bull my whole life, he would do it. Max Verstappen would do it. And if he says something, I believe it. He's that kind of person. But he's also said that he would also retire if things don't go his way, and he would like to spend time with his family. Who knows if that's going to happen? But if the car is not there next season, and if it's going to be really difficult, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
imagine. I mean, it's so crazy to see a Max Verstappen who was so dominant in 2023, who won the World Championship in 2024 just by the brilliance in the first 7, 8, 9 races of the season last year, to now him qualifying in P8. P8. It's
I know.
crazy. I mean, it's insane that
No, like
they
you
can't win
see,
races now.
when Mercedes dominance was there, at least you had that part where in a couple of seasons both the drivers were fighting. Again, I like the way how McLaren is dominant because both the drivers are fighting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that it's Lando, it's not that it's just Oscar. You've got that perfect balance that's going on.
Mm.
But with Red Bull's case, it was just Max, and it was only Max. One dominant season where you've got like 24 out of 24 solo seasons, 23 seasons, my God. Out of 23 races, you've got 22 races won by Max. So that level of dominance is so different.
For sure.
But
Definitely.
let's actually go to McLaren.
Hmm.
I actually thought this was a race for Oscar Piastri to win. But I was like, okay, this may sometimes even go until the last lap, last corner move.
Yeah.
But that last lap lockup,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he's screwed. He's so screwed.
Look, I think the tension gets to all the drivers. I think it's now very clear. Like Oscar Piastri also feels tension. He's not a robot. He's not a sentient being. He has emotions as well on track, and we know it for sure.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
very clear that now we are at the halfway stage of the season. Obviously, it's not halfway, but like we are at the summer break, and it's very tight at top. I mean, I think what's the
big
difference? The
time.
points difference. It's like eight points,
Yeah,
or
they're back to 8 points.
yeah. So look, they both are feeling the nerves of the championship, and I think I mentioned this last episode. I cannot call this championship. I cannot clearly say that Norris is going to win this championship or Piastri is going to win this championship. It's very fascinating. It's very fascinating, and
Yeah,
I'm
now
all for it.
it's basically not eight. It's actually 9 points difference.
Yeah, I mean it's
And you got between Lando and Verstappen nearly 90 plus points difference.
yeah. I don't think let's just leave Max out in this conversation, shall we?
Because I am definitely seeing George Russell picking the P3 position on drivers. Because
Yeah,
George Russell is not that far away. He's I think probably 15 points away from catching Verstappen.
Yeah, and again, I mean, to mention Mercedes again in this race, I think it was pretty good that they did revert back to the old model of the car, and
But finally did something right.
yeah, I think they finally managed to solve that issue. But I think also one of the big reasons why they did have a performance boost was with the weather, and that's going to aid them. That's going to definitely help them in the
In
next few
fact,
races.
I've been telling this for a very long time. Cold weather and Mercedes
Yeah,
does do so well.
yeah, yeah. It's
I'm
going to
very
be,
sure Las Vegas, it's gonna be a Mercedes win.
of
I
course.
can I can write it and give it to you.
I think it's going to be a Mercedes one too. I mean, in Canada, we saw it, right? We saw a really good race from both Mercedes drivers. So
Exactly.
so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Mercedes one too, because that car is very good in cool conditions. And guess what? I think the next race we have is August end, and then after that we
In
are in September,
Zandvoort.
October, and it's fall season. It's not summer. The temperatures are going to cool down, so it's only going to get better for Mercedes.
I was just discussing this at work. They were like, one of my colleagues are like, "Oh, I normally go to Imola every year to watch the race." Sorry, not Imola, Monza.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
He makes it a point to go to Monza and watch the race because, like, I really love Monza.
Is he a
And
Ferrari fan?
again, I don't know. I think he will probably be listening to this. I was just discussing about our podcast. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely listen to your new episode." I'm like, "Okay, so like, yeah, shout out to you, Simon." But like, yeah, I don't know if I'm not exactly sure if he's a Ferrari fan or not. But he's like, then I was like, you know what? Give it a wild guess which team I support or which driver I support. He was like Max Verstappen. I'm like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, Arjun does look like a Max Verstappen supporter.
Oh no, definitely. In fact, one of my colleagues, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my kid a Verstappen supporter." I'm like, "How dare you?"
No, that's not bad. It's not bad of of a driver to support, man. Come on. I mean,
No, no, no.
I
Again,
get you have the 2021 flashbacks. I know that because you obviously, as a Lewis Hamilton fan, you're obviously going to think that way. But at least you're not looking up to I don't know.
oh no, not
All
at all.
drivers are really good, to be fair.
No, see, let's again. This season actually puts a test to all in terms of who is good engineering wise, who is good aero wise. And
Hmm.
I don't know next year's car. Like so much, I'm hearing say of drivers going all against it.
Hmm.
But God knows what happens.
Yeah, it's going to
But
be
like,
very
yeah,
interesting.
just a specific shout out to Aston Martin.
Yeah.
God, man, you guys just pulled such a move. Both Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll on the drivers' championship has equal points.
Wow. Who was
Both of
lead?
them now have 26 points.
So, if I'm not mistaken, it was Stroll, right, who was leading Aston Martin
Yeah, but
in
then
points.
you had a couple of races where Fernando performed well and Stroll didn't get points. So that sort of a balance came up that 11th and 12th position on the drivers' championship is Fernando and Stroll, 26 and 26.
That's brilliant, and I think also the fact that Aston Martin, if I'm not mistaken, have now sold the team
Yeah, so
to
now they've sold their stake back to Lawrence Stroll,
Lawrence Stroll. Exactly.
but this team will still stay as Aston Martin itself because
Yeah.
they have got licensing deals.
Correct.
So because of that one, it's not that they're going to lose, but again, they are making like major losses with their actual business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, and this is not the case that Aston Martin hasn't done branding deals before. In fact, they were before. I remember the time where Red Bull had Aston Martin on their DRS flaps, and
Yeah.
they've got Infinity logo on like where was it exactly? I don't remember. They had like both Aston Martin and Infinity. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, whose team is this?
Yeah.
Like, so like it was a bit surprising, but at the end of the day, like Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon on the chat on the table are just 1 point difference.
Yeah. That is been a pretty. I mean, it's been a pretty few. I think it's been a good couple of races for Aston Martin, if I'm not wrong. I mean, Stroll. I remember he did perform very well in Silverstone. I think that was one race that he did complain about the car and things like that, which is very funny for me to hear. But he
That's
did.
Troll complaining out of all people,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But I think, I mean, it's phenomenal. Look, I think I have definitely seen a step up from Lance Stroll. I hope I'm not jinxing this now for him, because I do call him a very consistently inconsistent driver and things like that. We always have mentioned that in the podcast.
I feel you need to change that name to Ferrari now.
I think that tag is gone to now every. I mean, Ferrari has every tag. You can't really talk about consistently being
You're running out
inconsistent.
of tags at this rate.
Yeah, I am, and at this point, I give up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it was a really good race from Aston Martin. I mean, to have both the cars finishing in the points, especially for a team that's in the midfield fighting the likes of Kick Sauber and Racing Bulls, I think it's been a good performance for them.
Yeah, in fact, I was just even looking at the fastest laps for Hungary. Very nice. George Russell has the fastest lap, a 1:19.409,
Yeah.
and followed by Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz was the fourth fastest on the track.
Yeah, I think he did make some extra pit stops, didn't he? Carlos at some point was like way far behind, and I think he was. I don't know what Williams were doing this race. They were kind of like a
They
bit
got
of.
a good 14, 15.
I don't know if that is good, Arjun, considering the fact that they are fifth
Again,
in the constructors.
I lost it. I lost it altogether when I saw Lando and Oscar pitting, as in outlapping Lewis, and I was like, oh, it
Yeah,
hurts, pains, everything.
yeah, but it's a bit of a silent race for Williams. This at Hungary, I don't think it's probably the car suiting the track. Probably it's not that right car, right track for them. Maybe we might see them do well in those straight line tracks that we might come
Oh
to
yeah,
soon.
of course, of course. We got to see how this entire thing pans out. Whatever happens, happens.
Happens. Yeah,
It's. As in, I feel like this year we say Formula One as business, but I feel the sport element of it is actually still coming up.
for sure. I mean, I know I do agree with the fact that it's all about the business and things like that, but I think the drivers, they do obviously know that it's a business, but when they put their heart and soul on track, and when you see the way they're fighting on track, there is
Yeah,
still a sports element. There is always going to be a sports element, even if the business is bigger and it's larger and it provides more to people, and you have all of us as stakeholders of it, as customers, as people who watch it as well. That part of Formula One is very important, but the sport will still remain. It'll always
yeah,
remain. And I hope it still does, even with all of these influencing factors, with the FIA, with the rule changes, with the regulation changes, with the business aspect of it. I hope the sport still continues because, look, it's still drawing a lot of people to it. There might be, the F1 movie and DTS and all these promotional things that Formula One, the business, does. But,
the essence
fans
of the sport must not go away.
fans like me and you, Arjun, and the team at Formula Pod, we are the reason we are the reason that why we love the sport. I mean, it's the pure action. It's the action on
You
track.
basically, see, again, like idly, it's just that you don't need the basic fabric of the sport
Yeah,
needs to still stay on.
it does. It really does. And when you have teams like out of nowhere, Aston Martin performing and finishing the
A kick
points.
Sauber,
And Kick Sauber. I mean, look how well Gabriel Bortoleto is doing now. I look
which is
as
consistent.
Yeah, I mentioned this, in the last episode where we are riding the rookie wave because we started off with Kimi Antonelli, then we went off to Hadjar, and now we are on Gabriel Bortoleto. I think
And
it's
after the break back, we don't know who's coming up. Definitely no more upgrades to expect. Probably it's just that cars and drivers are just going to be, teams are just going to be like, okay, we'll just develop what's happening over here and just work it out.
look. I know we don't mention Liam Lawson as a rookie, but he technically is, and I won't consider him as a rookie because now last year he did complete these races with Visa Cash App RB. So I think his
Still with
rookie
Visa,
tag is
Cash
kind of
App,
over.
RB.
No, in the sense that when he joined, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I get the point. I get the point.
yeah,
It's not, he didn't have a full season.
he didn't have a full season, right? So he's been doing pretty well. He's been outscoring Isaac Hadja these past few races, and he's been doing a really good job. The only thing that he probably needs to get underneath his belt is his qualifying, because once he gets that sorted out, RB have a really good driver lineup. They seriously do, because the very fact that they are 45 points, I think they're like what 7 points away from Aston Martin.
Yeah.
They're in sixth. That driver lineup is really good, and
In fact, that is such a stable driver lineup because the car is not made for one person.
yeah, exactly.
It's doing pretty well. In fact, I would say at this rate, if Red Bull is not scoring points, at least Ricard will be scoring points.
And man, those two drivers off track are brilliant. Have you seen the social media, the reels that they
My
make?
God,
It's
insane!
it's crazy. It's really crazy. Like from brain rot to whatever that you need, they have it.
It's like they are. I don't know how you will call this. Like last year, how George Russell always comes up on those random reels,
Yeah, yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, what Mercedes is now good for social media posts."
yeah,
They're just that, but then they're nailing it. They're talking and they're doing the action on track. They're doing the action on socials.
yeah.
It works. You're having the equal balance done.
I really like the driver pairing. I mean, to be fair, I was not a big fan of Lawson last season with his fights with Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso, but he seems like a pretty decent guy, and
Yeah, he seemed like a pretty good chap, though.
he's pretty good. He's a pretty good guy, and he's a pretty good driver too. Let's not sleep on that fact. I mean, obviously, the stint that he had at Red Bull was very
We got
very
we got
bad.
to forget it. We got to forget it. To be
We
very
have to
honest.
forget it. We have to. I mean, that second seat, we've talked about it so much. It's not going to change, and I don't think it will.
I feel like we've talked about it so much that we've lost calories probably speaking about it.
Yeah, we have, and there's no point of talking about it because look, I think that Racing Bulls team
It
is
is a dead case, to be very honest.
it is. Sonoda has not scored a point yet. So with Red Bull, so it's just
And all of Sonoda's points were from VCARB.
yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a tough time for the Red Bull family.
Well, we hope for the best in terms of how that goes with them. But yeah, on that terrible disappointment, thank you so much for tuning on to another episode of Formula Pod. Please do like, share, and subscribe as we are coming to a summer. Doesn't mean that we are going to also kind of wrap up. In fact, we are doing the opposite. We'll probably have like an analysis episode coming up next, talking about like a mid-season review in terms of who and what and how we're going to go in depth. Probably that is going to be the episode where Nathan, straight after the episode, after the recording, may go to the therapist,
That's
as
very
in
true.
because we are doing analysis and definitely but Ferrari is not showing a good sign about it, even though they are P2 on the championship. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, until next time, this is the entire crew from Formula Pod signing off. Goodbye and God bless.